Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today is my Matchday 17 Championship score predictions. Obviously midweek games once again in the Championship. Now, we've got a lot of interesting games this week. A lot of teams that might, you might not expect to win, might get some results. You never know, it's the Championship. You can never really guess what's going to happen until the very, very end of the season, maybe. But anyway, we'll get straight into the video, and we're starting out with tonight's games. So we're starting off with Coventry City taking on Luton Town. Now, Luton obviously at the weekend did lose 2-0 to Swansea. Not the best performance from them. Obviously, Swansea are a team that don't score many goals. You know, they've got a few games recently where they've only managed to score 1 goal a game. But Swansea managed to beat Luton 2-0. Very poor performance by Luton. They should have really maybe played a little bit better than they did in that game to try and snatch a point. But they'll be looking to bounce back in this game, and I believe that they might bounce back in this game. Luton are a very good side. Probably one of the hardest teams to predict in the league are Luton at the minute, because they're just not inconsistent with with their performances, but anything can happen, and whoever they come up against, someone could just flip a switch and it changes. Whereas Coventry, on the other hand, I believe they did win during midweek, I think. They won 3-1 against Rotherham at home. So coming off the back of I say it at home, obviously they are at St Andrews, but coming off the back of a home win, you have the confidence and you have the momentum going into the next game, and especially with it being at what is technically your home ground again. So they'll have a lot of confidence and momentum moving into this game, but I do see Luton pulling off a better of a performance this game. So I do think that Luton might snatch something. I think Coventry will be the better team throughout the game, but I do think Luton will snatch something. So I've gone with Coventry 2, Luton Town 2. Huddersfield Town then take on Sheffield Wednesday. Both sides that aren't doing too well in the Championship this season. Sheffield Wednesday, obviously, I believe, lost at the weekend. I'm not too sure on Huddersfield. I can't remember. But either way, Huddersfield have been are in pretty decent form the last few games, whereas Sheffield Wednesday have been a bit hit or miss, really. And I think Huddersfield will just dominate this game, especially being at home. I think Huddersfield will just dominate this game from start to finish. I think Sheffield Wednesday might have a few glimpses here and there, but I just think Huddersfield will have not too much for Sheffield Wednesday, but will just go set out to win the game, obviously, like every team does, but, just look to shut out Sheffield Wednesday and then catch them napping and nab a goal. So I do believe I've gone with Huddersfield Town 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. On to Millwall versus QPR at the Den. Now, obviously, a massive talking point over the weekend was with Millwall's, a few of Millwall's supporters were booing them taking the knee against Derby. Obviously, Millwall did end up losing that game 1-0 to Derby. But it's a massive talking point, and obviously people have their own views on, the taking the knee and stuff like that. But no matter whether you agree with it or not, booing it in the stadium and live is just absolutely disgraceful, and it's worse than the racists themselves. That is just as bad as the as racists, to booing taking the knee. It's not just for Black Lives Matter, it's a stand against all forms of racism and discrimination. So a bit disgraceful in my eyes from Millwall fans, but they will want to pick up performance-wise, whereas QPR will want to try and get back on form and get back to winning ways like they were early in the season when they had better performances. But I do think Millwall will grind out a result in this one. I've gone Millwall 1, QPR 1. Stoke City then take on Cardiff. Both teams were 1-0 victors at the weekend, with Stoke beating Middlesbrough 1-0 and Cardiff City beating Watford 1-0 away from home. Both of these teams coming into this game in pretty decent form off the back of wins. And I think that might counteract this game, and I think they'll cancel each other out. I've gone with Stoke City 1, Cardiff City 1. I just think this game won't be a boring draw. It'll be an entertaining one, but I just think both teams will cancel each other out with the form, momentum, and the style of play that they do. So it'll be a very interesting game to watch. I think will Stoke versus Cardiff. Swansea City then take on Bournemouth. Bournemouth picking up a brilliant 4-0 win last Friday against away to Barnsley. Fantastic performance from Bournemouth. Diego Rico's free kick was unbelievable. Outstanding finish. And like I said earlier in the video, Swansea came out 2-0 winners over Luton Town. Both coming off the back of wins, both keeping clean sheets in that game. Will I think they'll both keep a clean sheet in this one? I don't think so. I think there will be goals in this one. I think Bournemouth will be the more dominant team between the two throughout the whole 90 minutes. I do think Swansea might not have enough to keep up with Bournemouth, but I do think it'll still be quite a decent game. I've gone with Swansea City 2, Bournemouth 3. Watford then take on Rotherham, and like I've said earlier in the video, going over these two past results, obviously Watford were beaten at home by Cardiff 1-0, and Rotherham were beaten 3-1 away from home to Coventry City. Rotherham not looking too promising for them at the moment in the league. You know, they're the team that's created has the least, created has the less key passes per 90 in the league. The team with the lowest key passes in the league, and they really need to find that creative spark to start scoring the goals to get some, to get the win. To get the wins they need to stay up. And Watford, on the other hand, another loss for them. They've been on poor form recently. I really question what has happened to Watford. It's an interesting situation. It's a baffling situation what's happened, how they started the season out pretty decent and then they've just slowly declined since then. I don't think Watford will get back to winning ways in this one. I think Rotherham will set up to defend and just keep out Watford as much as they possibly can. And then maybe catch a goal on the break or from a set piece. And I think it'll work for Rotherham. And I do believe that it'll be but I do think Watford will still score. So I've gone with Watford 1, Rotherham United 1. On to Wednesday's games now, and Preston North End take on Middlesbrough. Now, both of these teams didn't have the best of results last time out. Middlesbrough, again, coming off the back of a 1-0 away defeat to Stoke, and Preston coming off the back of a home draw with Wickham in a 2-2 draw. So not the best results for both of these teams, so they'll both obviously want to pick up and get back up and running. The only thing about this game is that it's going to be probably the most weirdest game ever, because Preston, I'll say weirdest, it'll probably be the most boring game of the weekend, because Preston have the worst home league, or one of the worst home form in the league. One of the worst home forms in the league. And Middlesbrough have one of the worst away forms in the league. Preston terrible at home, Middlesbrough terrible away this season. And I just think it's going to be a boring stalemate. There's not going to be much in it to separate these teams. I think they'll be sharing the points at the end of the night. And I do believe it's going to be Preston 1, Middlesbrough 1. Barnsley then take on Wycombe Wanderers. Obviously, Barnsley coming off that draining defeat of a 4-0 home battering by Bournemouth. But Wycombe coming off the back of a positive 2-2 draw with away to Preston. Wycombe will be kicking themselves that they didn't win that one, as the goal that put it as a 2-2 draw was unfortunately an own goal. So Wycombe will be kicking themselves that they didn't win that game, and they were relatively the better side throughout the majority of that game. So Wycombe very unlucky not to come away with all 3 points. Barnsley, on the other hand, really need to start picking up form again. Obviously, they'll know that, and they need to find a goal scorer from somewhere, because after a 4-0 battering by Bournemouth, it's not the best. It's not what you want to see. And I do think Wycombe's going to be a lot harder of a team to score against. This, the style of football they play. They sit back. They're very solid, and they keep teams out as much as they possibly can. And I think Barnsley's morale might affect them in this game. Coming off that 4-0 battering, the morale won't be high within the squad, and I do think they'll struggle. I've gone with Barnsley 0, Wycombe Wanderers 1. Brentford then take on Derby County, like we mentioned earlier in the video. Derby picked up an all-important win away to Millwall, a 1-0 win. They're only, I think, 3 points behind Nottingham Forest now in the league. So it's starting to slowly pick up for Derby. Maybe it kickstarts their season from now. We don't know, but it's a tough one to call Derby at the minute. Pretty inconsistent in performances. And do I think it'll pick up? And do I think they'll carry that win over into this one and play well again? I don't think they might play well, but I don't think they'll be picking up any points at all away to Brentford, who are a solid team. Obviously had a 2-2 draw at the weekend at home to Blackburn Rovers. Brentford are just a different class in the Championship this season. Ivan Toney is the best striker in the league at the minute, alongside Adam Armstrong, but Brentford, I think they'll just have too much for Derby to cope with, and I think Derby will really struggle in this game. I do believe Brentford will dominate this game from start to finish, and I've gone with Brentford 2, Derby County 1. Bristol City then take on Blackburn Rovers. Bristol, a poor performance during the weekend against Birmingham, coming out 1-0. A 1-0 loss, I think it was, at home to Birmingham City. Whereas Blackburn, obviously, with that 2-2 draw away to Brentford. Very, very interesting sides coming up against each other. Bristol started the season well, fell off a bit, picked the form back up, and now are starting to slowly fall back off again. I think Blackburn will have too much for Bristol to deal with. I think Adam Armstrong, one of the most informed strikers in the league, he'll run riot, and won't run riot necessarily, but he'll play out of his skin. And I think Blackburn will just have too much for Bristol City to cope with. I've gone with Bristol City 0, Blackburn Rovers 2. Norwich City then take on Nottingham Forest. Obviously, Nottingham Forest, it doesn't get any better for them, does it, really? Losing 2-1 to Reading on Saturday. They're just slipping down the league. They've sacked Sambri Limucci, they've brought in Chris Hughton, and nothing's changed, really. The performances are getting worse. They really, really need to start picking up performances and picking up wins and results where they can. But it doesn't get any easier coming away to Norwich, who are, pretty decent in form at the minute, on a massive high after the weekend with their win. But I do think they'll win again here, Norwich. I think they will be picking up all 3 points and keeping them at Carrow Road. Norwich City are just, when they're on their game, they are class, and they are a different breed in the Championship. So I think it'll be an easy 3 points for Norwich City this game. I've gone with Norwich City 1, Nottingham Forest 0. And on to the final game of the week, of the midweek games, is Reading take on Birmingham City. Reading picking up a brilliant 2-1 win at home against Nottingham Forest, whereas Birmingham picked up a brilliant 1-0 away victory to Bristol City. I think this game will be quite an entertaining one. Both sides like to attack. You know what you're going to get from Birmingham in the style of football they play, the way they set up. You know what you're going to get from them. Whereas Reading are a bit different. They try and change it up. You know, they push forward when they need to, and they score the goals when they need to. Lucas Xiao, again, one of the most informed strikers in the league. He's so dangerous at the minute, and I do believe that Reading will be picking up another 3 points in the league, and I have gone with Reading 2, Birmingham City 1. I do think Reading will be picking up another 3 points in the league. Anyway, guys, that is the end of this video. My Matchday 17 Championship score predictions. Obviously, midweek games. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. It'll be massively appreciated. And also, if you're new to the channel, why don't you consider subscribing? That will also be greatly appreciated. I will be going live on Twitch at about 8 o'clock. If you want to come and join the chat. My Twitch is LukeRP_YT18. I'll probably put it on the screen if I can at the end of this video. So yeah, come and join the chat if you want to. Obviously, I've only just started, so obviously I don't get anyone coming into the stream. So be greatly appreciated if I get some people coming in. You know, I'll be watching the Champions League games tonight. I'll be picking a Champions League game to watch, playing FIFA career mode, and talking about the Champions League, football in general. If you want to come and talk about football in general, come over and talk. I will be doing so. So that'll be about 8. That'll be at 8 o'clock. So if you want to come over, please do so. Anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. Like I say, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.